There is a sacred truth buried beneath centuries of noise. You already possess all that you desire, not because the world has given it to you, but because you are the one who gives it form, energy, and reality. You do not become rich by chasing riches. You become rich by assuming the state of wealth. You do not become loved by pleading for love. You become loved by dwelling in the awareness of already being cherished. You do not heal by begging for health. You heal by knowing you are whole. Everything begins in the unseen. Your mind is not a passive observer of reality. It is the creative power itself. And the secret is simple. Act as if it's already yours. The moment you desire something, it is born in the spiritual realm. The only thing left is for you to enter into the experience of having it, not one day, not when the conditions look right, but now. Close your eyes and go within. What would you feel if it were already true? What would you wear? How would you speak? How would you walk if the thing you sought had already arrived? That is the only work, to move your awareness from longing to fulfillment. Do not pray for it, pray from it. Do not beg the heavens. Speak from the mountaintop of already being. Live from the end. Feel the joy now. Dwell in the peace of completion, even when the world still shows lack. This is not pretending, it is creating. The outer world bends to the inner world, but it does not bend to the one who waits in worry. It bends to the one who lives in certainty. If you were already the person you wish to become, would you still worry? Would you still chase, doubt, or compare? Or would you smile calmly, knowing that nothing can be withheld from the one who has already received it in consciousness? You do not need permission. You do not need proof. You need only the courage to believe that you are already what you seek, that what you want is already yours, and that your job is to embody it, not to earn it. The world will test your resolve. It will send appearances that say you are still lacking. But remember, appearances are shadows cast by old beliefs. Do not bow to them. Walk in the light of your new identity. When you act as if it's already yours, you are not delusional, you are aligned. You are tapping into the deeper reality that shapes all things. You are stepping out of time and into timeless truth. All that you desire is already prepared for you, not in the future, but in the invisible now. Do not wait. Do not ask. Claim it, live it, be it, and watch as the world rearranges itself to match the frequency of your new self. Imagination is the first reality. Long before anything takes shape in the outer world, it lives in the invisible realm of thought, image, and feeling. The chair you sit on, the building you walk into, the clothes you wear, all of these were once intangible ideas in someone's mind. They did not spring forth from effort alone, but from the creative act of imagining. Imagination is not daydreaming or idle fantasy. It is the divine act of forming substance out of the unseen. The mind is the womb of creation, and imagination is its seed. When you imagine something clearly, vividly, with feeling, you begin the process of manifestation. You are not simply thinking about it, you are creating it. Every image you hold with conviction impresses itself upon the formless substance of reality, and from that impression, life is compelled to respond. To imagine is to claim. To imagine is to possess, inwardly, that which the senses have not yet confirmed. And yet, it is more real than what the senses say, because it is the cause behind the effect. Outer conditions are merely the harvest of past inner images. If you want to change your life, change the image you are holding. Change the way you see yourself, not in reaction to the world, but in authority over it. The moment you imagine with belief, you have already shifted something powerful within you. You are no longer trying to get something, you are being it. You have stepped into alignment with the new version of yourself. and everything outside of you will begin to reflect this transformation. That is the law of life. It does not respond to desperate wishing, but to sustained assumption. When you say, I am wealthy, and you feel it, even for a moment, you are activating a new reality. That moment, if nurtured, will outpicture itself as physical evidence. The same applies to love, health, purpose, or peace. Your job is not to make it happen by force, but to hold the inner vision with reverence and certainty. When the image is clear and felt, the outer must conform. Do not look to the world to validate your imagination. Look within and see how your assumptions quietly give birth to your experiences. If you imagine that life is hard, full of struggle and rejection, you will experience exactly that, not because it is objectively true, but because it has become your internal law. But if you dare to imagine ease, joy, abundance, love, despite outer conditions, then you have chosen a new law, and reality must bend to it. But what you continually imagine becomes your state of being. And your state of being dictates your actions, your reactions, your expectations, and ultimately your outcomes. You do not live from facts. You live from belief. And belief is nothing more than imagination sustained. So if you seek to change your life, do not start with effort. Start with vision. Begin by imagining yourself already there. Feel the thrill of it, the relief, the joy, the freedom. Walk in that vision daily, not as a visitor, but as a resident, and trust completely that what you imagine with persistence must become what you experience in time. This is the secret. This is the root of all creation. Imagination is the first reality. Everything begins within. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not a metaphor or poetic suggestion. It is a sacred instruction. The key to bringing anything into your life is to feel that it is already yours. Not tomorrow, not when conditions look favorable, but now. You must feel the end result, the completion, the satisfaction of already being the one who has what they once desired. When you assume the feeling, you are not lying to yourself. You are stepping into the deeper truth that reality begins within. You are claiming your power to create, not by struggle, but by identity. To assume is to accept something as real, even before your senses confirm it. And it is this inner acceptance, this deep emotional conviction, that causes the unseen to become visible. Feel it as if it were already done, not partially, not with doubt, but with full emotional engagement. Ask yourself, how would I feel if this desire were already fulfilled? Would I breathe differently? Would I carry myself with more peace, more joy, more confidence? Would I worry less? That feeling, whatever it may be, is the key. You must generate it from within, regardless of what is happening outside of you. The world does not respond to effort alone. It responds to the vibration you live from. And the feeling of already having your desire is the highest vibration of all. It sends a clear signal that says, this is already mine, and life mirrors that certainty back to you. Most people live in a cycle of waiting for the evidence, the approval, the miracle. But waiting is rooted in separation. It keeps you in a state of longing, not having. The secret is to skip the waiting. You leap into the having by assuming the emotional state of fulfillment. And from there, the pieces begin to align. Circumstances shift. People appear. Ideas flow. Why? Because you are no longer trying to attract your desire. You are living as if it is already present. This is why it is not enough to visualize mechanically. The image must be charged with emotion. A dry image is weak. But an image infused with a feeling of fulfillment is a creative force. That feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the channel through which the formless becomes form. You do not need to understand how it will happen. The mind will question, the ego will doubt, but that is not your concern. Your only responsibility is to dwell in the state of having, to wake up with the feeling, to walk with it, to go to sleep immersed in it. This is not wishful thinking. It is spiritual law. When you live from the end, you collapse the distance between desire and reality. You bring the future into the now. And as you persist in this assumption, life organizes itself to match your inner world. Assume the feeling, not someday, but now. Let it become your natural state. The more you return to it, the more it becomes your reality. Not because the world gave it to you, but because you became the one who already had it. And in that becoming, the world had no choice but to follow. The world mirrors your inner state. It is not shaped by your efforts alone, nor molded by how hard you push, hustle, or strain. Life is far more subtle and intelligent than that. It responds not to outer action, but to the quiet, invisible convictions you carry within yourself. It does not grant you what you desperately wish for. It reflects back to you what you believe yourself to be. You may think you're asking the world to change, but in truth you're asking your own reflection in the mirror to smile while your face frowns. It cannot be done. The outer world cannot contradict the inner state. Whatever you are deeply convinced of, about yourself, about others, about the nature of life, will appear again and again in your experience, because consciousness is the only reality. This is why two people can live in the same city, work the same job, encounter the same world, and yet have completely different realities. One sees struggle, rejection, and hardship, while the other sees opportunity, support, and abundance. It is not the world that is different, it is the state each one lives from. One may be in a state of lack, the other in a state of sufficiency. One may believe that good things are hard to come by, while the other knows, deep within, that life is always conspiring in their favor. And the world simply plays its role like a faithful servant, echoing back the essence of each individual's inner convictions. The mirror does not judge, it does not argue, it simply reflects. This is why effort without belief leads to exhaustion. You can toil day and night, strive endlessly, chase every opportunity, but if your inner state is one of fear, of not being enough, of not having enough, then all that energy will be filtered through that lens. Life will mirror the fear, not the effort. The fruit of your labor will still carry the taste of doubt. At the moment you shift your state within, everything begins to change. Not because the world suddenly transforms on its own, but because you see differently, feel differently, act differently, and life mirrors that. When you move from a state of confidence, of worthiness, of peace, then even simple actions produce remarkable results. Even silence becomes magnetic. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. And what you are is defined by your dominant inner state, not your passing moods, but the emotional and mental atmosphere you dwell in consistently. If you live in the feeling of being unloved, you will find proof of it no matter how many people try to love you. If you live in the state of being blessed, life will continue to bless you even when it seems undeserved. So stop looking outward for confirmation. Look inward and ask, what state am I truly living from? What do I assume to be true about myself even without speaking it? That is the seed, and your world is only the harvest. Change the seed, and the harvest must follow. You are not powerless. You are the center of your world. And as your inner world shifts, the outer world has no choice but to reflect your new truth. Persistence in assumption creates manifestation. This is not merely a suggestion, it is a law. Your reality bends to the direction of your most consistent belief. One moment of faith may spark a vision, but it is persistence in that vision, in the midst of contradiction, that brings it into form. It is not the strength of a single emotional burst that shifts your life, but the quiet, unwavering loyalty to your inner conviction, day after day, regardless of what the outer world says. The outer world will test your assumption. It will present delays, doubts, and appearances that seem to deny your vision. That is its role, not to defeat you, but to ask, will you remain true to what you know within? Those who falter at the first sign of resistance never see the fruit of their imagination, but those who hold fast, who stay loyal to the end, will see the invisible made visible. To persist is not to strain. It is not to beg or plead. It is to remain rooted in the feeling of already having what you seek. It is to return again and again to the inner state where your desire is already fulfilled. It is to dwell in the end, not once, not occasionally, but continually. Those people abandon their vision when outer evidence contradicts it. They allow what they see with their eyes to determine what they believe. But manifestation does not work that way. Outer reality is simply the echo of previous assumptions. It is delayed feedback. What you see now is not truth. It is past belief materialized. So if you want to create something new, you must not allow appearances to shake your assumptions. This is where true power lies, in the ability to feel what is not yet seen, to live from a state that defies current circumstances. When you hold your inner vision steady, you are declaring to the universe, this is what I accept as true. And the universe, bound by law, must eventually reflect that truth. Even the smallest doubt, when repeated, can delay your desire. But a small assumption, when persisted in faithfully, can move mountains. Continuity is the secret ingredient. You water a seed daily, even if the soil appears unchanged. You trust that something is happening beneath the surface. The same applies to your vision. Persist in the feeling, persist in the identity, persist in the assumption that it is already yours. You do not need evidence to believe. You believe, and the evidence appears. This is the reversal of the world's thinking, but it is the foundation of spiritual truth. The moment you allow yourself to live from the end, without flinching, without needing proof, you activate forces beyond logic. Life must rearrange itself to match your unwavering state. So no matter what shows up, no matter what delays or detours appear, remain loyal, speak from the end, feel from the end, live from the end. The world may shake, but your inner certainty must remain unshaken. Persistence is the bridge between imagination and reality. Walk it with confidence, and let no contradiction steal your vision. The one who persists quietly, consistently, faithfully, will always witness the promise fulfilled. What you claim mentally becomes law in your world. This is not symbolic language, it is literal. The thoughts you consistently entertain, the silent words you speak within, the emotional reactions you repeat, these are not passive, they are commands. They form the blueprint that life must obey. There is no external authority dictating your reality. It is your own consciousness, constantly shaping and reshaping your world according to the claims you accept as true. Every belief you hold, every assumption you persist in, becomes a law unto itself. It does not matter whether others agree with it, whether society confirms it, or whether logic supports it. What you declare inwardly with conviction, life mirrors outwardly with precision. This is how the creative process works. Not by effort, but by mental identification. Your inner speech is powerful. The silent conversations you have with yourself shape the tone and direction of your life. If you constantly say to yourself, I'm not enough, it's always hard for me, nothing ever works out, then you are setting into motion a script that must reflect that belief. Life cannot contradict what you consistently affirm within. It is not life that is unkind. It is the inner speech that is. In the same way, when you begin to speak differently inside, when you say, I am chosen, things are always working in my favor, everything I need comes to me at the right time, you are not being naive. You are rewriting the law that governs your personal world. It may not change overnight, but it must begin to shift, because consciousness is causation. Your inner reactions are another powerful force. The way you habitually respond to events emotionally becomes your baseline state. If you react with fear, anger, or defeat, then you are reinforcing a pattern of resistance. But if you train yourself to respond with peace, confidence, and quiet faith, even when things seem uncertain, you change the energy that shapes your outcomes. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are commanding it. And then there are your beliefs, the quiet, often hidden convictions that shape the entire structure of your life. You may not speak them out loud, but they operate constantly beneath the surface. If you believe you are unworthy of love, you will unconsciously repel it. If you believe that wealth is for others but not for you, you will sabotage every opportunity. But when you change the belief, everything begins to rearrange itself, not because the world changed, but because you did. You are not a passive observer of life. You are the lawgiver. And the law you give is based on what you claim to be true in the inner world. If you want to see a new life, you must first accept a new truth within yourself. You must claim it, speak it, react from it, and believe it before it ever shows up. Do not wait for the world to tell you who you are. Tell the world who you are by the laws you establish within. The moment you claim I am with sincerity and persistence, the universe begins to align with that statement. What you claim mentally does not merely influence your life. It becomes the law your life must follow. You are not attracting it, you are identifying with it. This is the great secret that shatters the illusion of separation. You do not draw things to you as if they exist somewhere far away, waiting for the right conditions. Nothing is outside of you. Everything you desire is already present in consciousness, waiting for you to align, not through effort or pleading, but through identity. To identify with something means to claim it as your truth. You are not hoping for love. You are love. You are not seeking abundance. You are abundance embodied. When you identify with the state of already having, already being, already possessing, you collapse the distance between yourself and the desire. It no longer lives in the future. It becomes a living, breathing reality within you now. This is not a mindset of lack, but one of dominion. You are not a beggar waiting for life to hand you blessings. You are not chasing miracles, writing requests, or proving your worth. You are the author of your experience. And as the author, you do not ask for your story to unfold, you declare it. You write it with your assumptions, your identity, your being. You choose the chapter by embodying the feeling of what you wish to see. There is no need to chase what is already yours in truth. Chasing implies it is apart from you, but identification says it is within me. I am one with it. You summon not by force but by being. You do not beg the sun to rise. You know it rises. That is the difference between desire born from lack and desire born from knowing. The moment you stop trying to attract and start identifying, you move into your creative authority. You are no longer subject to the whims of the world. You step into the role of the cause, and the world becomes the effect. This is not arrogance. It is alignment. You are not pretending. You are remembering the truth. Everything already exists in consciousness, and you access it through identification. So ask yourself, who would I be if I already had what I want? How would I walk? How would I speak? How would I feel? That is the self you must become, not through force, but through imagination and repetition. You rehearse it inwardly until it becomes natural, automatic, effortless, and the world, bound by divine law, must reflect that change. This is why the most powerful transformations do not come through action but through assumption. The outer world is not the battleground. The shift happens within, silently. You no longer try to get, you become. And in becoming, you summon every condition, every circumstance, every person required to fulfill that state. You are not becoming something new. You are revealing who you've always been underneath the noise of doubt. You are the source, not the seeker, the artist, not the observer. Identify with the end, and the process will take care of itself. When you say, I am, followed by anything with conviction, you set that reality in motion. So speak with intention. Think from the end. Feel as the one who already is. Because you are not attracting it, you are identifying with it. And what you identify with must take form in your world. For the great secret of creation is not in struggle, but in stillness. Not in chasing, but in claiming. You are not here to beg reality into favoring you. You are here to awaken to the truth that reality responds to who you believe you are. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you persist in the inner vision, when you speak from the end and identify with the outcome, you are not asking for a miracle. You are the miracle. Everything begins and ends in consciousness. You do not attract what you want, you express what you are. The world does not respond to outer effort. It reflects inner belief. Your assumptions are the seeds, your identity the soil, and your persistence the water. And in due season, the harvest must come. Not by chance, but by law. Remain faithful to your inner claim. Let the outer world do what it will. Hold the truth within, because once you dare to be it in your mind, your world has no choice but to make it so. Sincere thanks to the listener. Thank you for giving your attention to these words, not just with your ears, but with the ears of your soul. May they take root in the silence of your heart and unfold as the life you've always known was yours. Your imagination is sacred. Use it boldly. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are here to change the world through who you are. Thank you for walking this path inward, for it is the only path that leads outward to everything.